Yoga is basically not to cut life into two pieces to start with. Means when I come to center, when I sit in meditation, do this work, I am engaged in yoga. But when I'm going for a walk, when I'm sitting and having, dinner or lunch or meeting people in my office, then I am into bhoga. Because if you do this after bhoga, there will be roga. Roga will become the road to reconnect with yoga. So, yoga means basically that every activity of the life should become a means of connecting with the divine because he is in everything and everywhere. We may connect through remembering and offering, we may connect by receiving the inner impulsion to act, we may connect with the divine simply by becoming a witness and connected with the divine while life is unfolding outside. 100 ways we may connect. Basically, to live in the state of inner remembrance, not to regard anything as my own, not even myself, all for the Lord and myself for the Lord. So when we live life with this attitude that whatever I am doing it to please the Divine Mother in her service, as her puja. And it's not like, you see, in the beginning, these things require effort, conscious effort. After some times, it becomes a way of life. As Sri Krishna says that initially you have to do yuktahar viharasya. And later on he says, then whatsoever you may do, whatsoever a person who is dedicated to me does, whatever way he lives, whatever way he speaks, it is I who am doing this in him and through him. So the first effort should be that I have to regard that now my life is given to her, and whatever comes in my life, whatever field of activity, whatever people, now they are not meant for my sukh bhog sadhan. They are all of this must become for me a means to develop contact with the Divine Mother, grow in love with her. If the husband is very good, wonderful. Such models are very rare, but thank God I can connect with the Divine Mother more. No, this is Mirabai story, okay? I'm just paraphrasing it. If the husband is very bad, very good, I'll never get attached to him. So that's giving an example. If the child obeys you, actually not very good, means he's becoming a copy. Nature doesn't love clones, okay? The child should find his own life, but it's okay. If he is very, okay, fine, no complaints from school, nothing, every checklist. If he's not listening to me, he has his own journey, mother's journey, it's between the mother and the child. So basically, you are offering everything to the mother and taking everything as belonging to her. Whatever you have is her prasad. Whatever field, one may be in the bank, one may be a doctor, one may be a housewife, which is most difficult task. One may be studying something. Whatever one is doing, it's not mine. It's what Yagyavalk says, to do everything in the spirit of Yagya. And that's where commune comes in, because there is nothing which you own. In a commune, that is the whole idea. You don't own anything. You are doing your effort, but you are doing this effort for the greater good of all and as an offering to the Divine Mother. If we live life like that, then regardless of what we are doing outwardly, where we are living, it becomes yoga. And if you don't have that attitude, and I'm maybe living in the ashram, still it's not. I'm looking for comfort, looking for position, then that is not yoga. That's bhoga, leading to roga.
We have a question from a teenager.
Yeah.
Why do you think people are so interested in other people's lives?
Yeah, because their life is not interesting. When your own life is not interesting, oh, पड़ोस का जो बहू है ना, उसका क्या चक्कर चल रहा है? अरे यार. So it means their own life is very dull and boring. That's it. Okay?
The connecting question to that is, how do we not get affected by it? So we know that there's a thing, people coming and poking their views into your life, but how do we not get affected by it?
I mean, yeah, we have answered this actually. So, in several ways. Don't give importance to people. That's as simple as that. People are I mean, random. Don't give importance. And sometimes we give importance simply because somebody, oh, he is a doctor, he is this thing. Doesn't matter. He may be PhD. It's all ignorance. Human life is surrounded by ignorance. Their opinion, viewpoint, again, you don't have to convince anyone. Trying to convince somebody means I want to be good in somebody's eyes. People are what they are. They can't help being themselves, but you have to be yourself. So let them enjoy all this. Yes.
We have some questions here. I'll go through and then I'll come back to the list we have. Mandukya Upanishad describes.
Oh. Yeah, all the
I
four
didn't even
states
ask
of
the
being.
question.
No, but it does describe it. No, rocket science in it describes
Turinavastha.
the four states. Yeah. So,
Whether the Turinivastha and what Sri Aurobindo mentions as supermental consciousness same.
no. Mandukya Upanishad talks about the four states of Brahman, Chatushpat Brahman. And it's there in Sri Aurobindo Savitri, it comes toward the end. So where it describes as Virat, which is the outer. There are different terminologies, but I'm using the terminology which Sri Aurobindo uses. The external or the waking, which is Virat. And the dream state, which is Hiranyagarbha. And then there is the Pragya. And there is the fourth, which is Turiya, which you cannot describe, define. So that's one part of way of looking at it. But supermind is referring to this. There is one reality. It's not like supermind is another reality, but this one is in its own inalienable purity. It is everywhere. The Parabrahman is even in the dust or grain of sand. It may be in the external dream state, Turiya, Pragya, Turiya. But supermind refers specifically to that poise where the creator is leaning towards creation. Let me put it, explained with an example. So I am sitting, I exist when I am sitting. Now suddenly I am moved by an urge to write a book or a poem. Now what is it? There's a step one. There's an urge that moves me to write. Step two, I let this idea of what I should write, it begins to grow inside. Step four, I start this idea explode that, oh, I must write, there are characters, Mahabharata, all these things should come up. So I start, this idea begins to take shape. And step five is where I gather all the materials to write external. Step six is where it comes in the form of paper and pen and all the writing. So there is a state which is transcends even before creation. I exist, whether I write the poem or I don't write the poem, I am there. So there is a poise like that which transcends. And yet when the writing will start, this I, which is transcending, will yet enter into this, engage into this whole process. So there is a state which is completely transcendent of everything. It exists in its own right. Nothing can be spoken about it. You can't describe, define it. It knows itself by its own self. But supermind comes the moment it wants to express. Now that's not a state of out of the four states of consciousness. It's that stir which begins the creation, and that idea when it has to explode itself. So we have three levels of supermind which Sri Aurobindo speaks of. One where there is this state where the Parabrahman is there as Sachidanand, but you can't describe, define. There is only one reality. Second is where the one wants to become the many. Now the idea is, oh, Mahabharata must be written. Third is when now there is a differentiation of all the characters. You want to write an epic, you have to have all the characters, each bringing his own truth, but all of them emerging from the same author's heart. Can Vyasa disown Dushasan? Saying, I don't know who created this fellow. Because even Dushasan is emerged from Vyasa. So when the differentiation starts of the one towards the many, That's where supermind comes. And its importance is that you cannot understand creation unless you understand that. Otherwise, one can go into that Turiya Avastha and be done with this creation. That's the choice given to Savitri also. That last choice that you come, unclasp yourself, enter into that oneness. But she says no, because she is the divine mother who has created the star. She knows. So she says no. But it's that like the original star. So she is asking for the sanction of the new creation. So that sanction comes from there. It is hidden in the folds of what is beyond, we can say, manifest and the unmanifest. So that's how it is. We should not, these terminologies like some people use that Taittiriya Upanishad, Panchakosha, then say Vijnanmay is supermind. I would say yes and no, because in a sense, yes. Of course, they knew about the Vijnanmay Kosha and they knew about the Anandamay Kosha. But these two are not yet organized individually. Second is, it's one thing to know as a glimpse. It's quite another to know it through direct experience. So let me put it like this, because these are interconnected questions. Oh, Swami Vivekananda showed the way to Shri Aurobindo of the supermind. What does it mean? It's like I'm a pilgrim. I have gone to Himalaya. I am standing on Kanchenjunga. I'm saying, actually, that is so wonderful. I can see it now. I cannot go there. So what do I do when somebody comes here? I say, you know what? That's where you have to go. And this who is shown goes there. Not only goes there, brings all that is there back to earth. So that way, yes, some of these rishis, they were aware by an intuition that there is. And actually, if you see, I have translated some of the Upanishads. One of them is the Mundaka Upanishad. That's why, So if you really look at it, it's very logical. If you understand it very simply, that there is the manifest world. Behind it, always within us, there is the dream state. Things are brewing inside. But even when I am not dreaming, I exist. So it becomes Sushupti. And there has to be an existence which is beyond all of these. So it's very, very logical, and through a little intuitive sense, one can get it. But we should not equate it with supermind.
Before evolution, there was involution, and the spirit or the truth consciousness got involuted into matter, and matter has to invariably reveal the hidden spirit through evolution.
Yes.
Why then the descent of supramental consciousness?
Okay, so what is involution? Involution is when all the energy of the tree gathers in a seed. It is involution. Means now it has become like a seed, entered into a seed state. But that seed has to enter into the ground to fulfill its destiny. What is the destiny of the seed? You say, obvious. From the tree it has come, it will become into that tree where it has come down from. So what is that power that will ensure that the seed through all its adventure will become this particular tree? That is the supermind. Supermind is compelling everything to go toward that. But supposing I don't know the plan, what it is bound to become, then what happens? There are people, we have heard, no, that you don't just plant, okay, I've got now this seed, I'll just cast it. You must know everything about the seed, what is the right season, how much water to be put, how much sunlight, all this knowledge. That knowledge is with the supermind. Up till now, the seed was growing, supermind is there, pushing it. Now, seed of divine creation, it's not just, it is behind and it's putting a pressure. So what happens? Seed is coming up, then there comes a time when the evolution has to become conscious. By default, it has to become. Why? Because it's not like automatons. With human beings, if we have to grow into divinity, at some point we have to engage consciously, because consciousness is to grow. So there comes a time when human beings begin to engage consciously and they mess it up. So there is pralaya. Because they don't have the knowledge, they start saying, my child should become like me. Most foolish thing. So they start saying, my wife should be like, because the ego steps in. Individuality is created because of the ego. It's like the hard crust of the seed. So all these, again, a long story short, so it goes to a point, then it collapses. Now, if there has to be a conscious evolution where as human beings we participate and ourselves grow into the seed buried inside us, we have to become fully conscious, and that is only possible with the descent of the supermind. It is there hidden inside. But if I am not aware of that, if I am not connected with that, if I am having the same plain ignorance, I will make a mess of everything. So, supermind is also called as real idea or the divine law, law of truth. That's why we have in the Ishopanishad this prayer, Hiranmayana patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tattvam pushanna pavranu satya dharmaya dishtaye. Because we are living our life according to social conventions, ideas, parents, teachers. But now human beings have reached a point where they can truly, in the real sense, consciously participate by knowing the law of truth. Who will reveal the law of truth? Direct action of the supermind. Otherwise, we'll continue to live a life of ignorance and collapse. But divine wants us to. So supermind's intervention is necessary. And its coming down means it's like the supermind which is buried inside. It automatically helps to, it's like a catalyst which helps this hidden supermind to emerge now into the play in an open way. It is always there. It's not like supermind is new. But it will help to emerge because the time has come when human beings can truly, in the real sense, at least a few human beings can consciously participate in the divine plan.
What are the principles of Sri Aurobindo are included in NEP 2020? NEP 2020. What are the principles of Sri Aurobindo that are included in, am I reading it correct? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 2020.
Included in 2020 Corona?
No. New Education Policy 2020. NEP,
Oh,
New
okay.
Education Policy 2020.
The only thing I know of 2020 is Corona. Yeah, I understand. Yes, I've been sort of partly involved also in that process. Plenty of things. There's a greater freedom, flexibility of choices, and in principle, they have been wanting to a lot more, reconnecting to our own roots, which is so important. Sri Aurobindo wanted that we should be aware of where my roots are, because he used the word national education. So there was a question, what is national about physics? It's not that physics is the same, but our approach is different. So that's why there is something called as national education, means something which is connected to the roots to which we belong. So India has explored these truths, but in a very different angle, very different approach. So in that sense, we must reconnect with the roots. It's there. Languages, so there is a greater flexibility. The third language, the Sanskrit, all these terms have come because they genuinely want to incorporate. There's a national, what is that called? Open schools have come up. That's one of the ways that they are trying to put in the free progress system, because in open school you can actually pick up at your own pace any number of subjects. I think you are aware of that. And you can even, sports are sort of compulsory. Many people are not aware, by the way. And I think this came up in 2014 or 15, this open school thing. So they're trying to do it. Then exams are more or less, till almost, I think, 9th or 10th, it is abolished.
They don't have
Yeah, they
exams
don't
till
have.
10th.
Yes, so you are allowed a great degree of flexibility. There's still a long way, but the direction is in the right direction. Yeah.
We'll get back to few inner journey questions that we had before. What is the primary difference between emotional and psychic movements?
Oh, that's a good question, incidentally, because in the morning I had this and it just stayed behind. So, emotional being is basically the confusion comes because we use the word love. But our emotional being actually doesn't know love, it only reflects something of that deeper thing. Emotional being is under the influence of ego, desire, passion. It loves for its own sake. So, love, what we as an emotional human being understand, is very different from love as the psychic understands. So for emotional being is love is that, um, all the interchange that takes place. So there is attachment, there is possessiveness. Ordinarily, it's purified, then any part purified is different. So there is somewhere love, but it takes the form of attachment, it takes the form of possessiveness, it takes the form of jealousies, they come up in that. So there is that beautiful side, but very soon it gets sullied. So normal emotional movement can be a emotional being can be a pretty turbulent movement because it's subject to all the passions that rise up. It is, the VP state, sentimentality, because the vital is very weak. So basically, emotional being is the part of the vital. So it is subject to all the vital forces, which includes passion, lust, which we mistake for love, because part of the whole vital. Even ambition can step into it. But psychic has none of these movements. For psychic, love means only one thing: it is to give oneself, not just to the object of love, because that is, but to the divine presence in the person. And there is no calculation, no bargain, no possessiveness, no jealousy, none of these things. So there is a world of difference. Though the only common thing is the word love is used.
So when we say see the divine in others and then the psychic love, right? So what clouds that is an ego. So ego and plasticity. What is the how do one understand these two?
Yes, so ego, there is the problem of the ego. After all, what is the problem of ego? So ego creates boundaries. So ego is a limiting factor. If I identify myself as Dr. Alok Pandey, what I have done, I have limited myself. If I understand myself as Pondicherrian or even an ashramite or Hyderabadi, I have limited myself. So ego creates barriers necessary at an evolutionary stage because it's like a little pot. The plant has to grow little by little. But a time comes when this becomes limiting. So ego helps to individualize at one point of time. Otherwise, one will be lost in the vastness. So ego helps you to select some aspects or movements of nature and call them as yourself. I stand for this political party, ego. Now, a person who is free of the ego, he will not talk in terms of this or that political party, but he will see the movement of the divine in different ways, in different ways. He's not, so ego limits us. So, for example, in religion, if you catch, ego comes, my God is best God, my Guru is the only Guru. But when you are freed from that, you begin to see the divine working through all the different approaches of mankind, even the atheist, the agnostic, the different ways human beings have tried to make this world a better place. You see that. So it opens any amount of avenue. So plasticity means here that you are able to receive the divine will in ways which the ego will limit. For example, the ego of Arjuna will not let him fight a war against his own people, because they are his own people. But plasticity means if the divine tells me to fight against my own people, so called my own people, because that is needed as a demand of the moment for the dharma, I must do it. So that is the big difference. So ego limits our avenues needed at one point of time in evolution. You can't suddenly tell a child that, my baby, you have come through me, but don't think that we are your parents. Don't quote Khalil Gibran, huh? Your children are not your children. The child will say, oh my God, I'm a hopeless case. So you have to tell your my baby. But when the child grows up and you say, you know what, you're mama's child, then that's not good. Don't try saying that at 2021. You say, Simran ji le apni zindagi. Lead your own life. So, see, ego is required at one point of time. Child has to be told you must do well because you'll get a medal. If you say it doesn't matter. So, child will say, all right, Mama, tomorrow I'm not going to school. Because that's ego. There is a point of time when the ego has to be shed. There is a time, not prematurely. It has its own place and purpose. And to do it prematurely is also to interfere with God's plan. And it has to be shed only at the altar of the divine. Shedding the ego doesn't mean, okay, I have no ego. Whatever my wife tells me, I obey. Now the times have changed. Whatever my husband tells me or wife tells me, or now it is wife tells me. Earlier it was husband tells me, I obey. I don't have an ego. That's adharma. That doesn't help to open the path of evolution. Now it is both husband and wife say, whatever my child tells me, I do it. I obey. Dharma is to be the center. Dharma means the dynamic movement of truth. I am not defining dharma in limited ways. Dharma is the dynamic impulsion of truth in creation. Dharma is a very wonderful term. Yeah. It's not about rituals.
Change is something which is inevitable. But as and when the evolution is going on, there is a generational change. How does this generational change is affecting day-to-day life of people?
Generation, even before that, the ancient Greek philosophers, 4,000 years, 5,000 years down the line, they all say, oh, this coming generation is not good. All of them. Very interesting. But thank God there is evolution. So it is affecting because because it's accelerated evolution. So it is pushing us out of our comfort zones. What we should do is we should grow up to them. There are wonderful things that children teach us all the time. You see, they are so unassuming. They're not pretentious. They don't, we should be like this to show something. They don't have hypocrisy, something wonderful. But there was a time when people would, the moment they go to a so-called Sadhu Baba, Babaji, no, what is this nonsense? They don't do that. I have to touch your feet on this. So they are hypocrisy is gone, they are unpretentious, unassuming. So I would say to the elderly, grow up. Mother said that, okay? And somebody asked her, okay, I must say. And she was asked, how can we come down to the level of the children? She said, come down. I love their frankness, straightforwardness. Something very nice. So they don't do anything for the sake of social approval. Many beautiful things about them. So basically, if you come to like how should the elderly deal with them, try to understand them. Don't write them off. Don't judge them with your lens. Try to understand them. They need direction. That's all. But you can't give them your goals and your direction. That's where Swadharma and Swabhav comes in. They need direction, and that's where the role of the elderly to help them wisely. Just a gentle nudge here, a gentle nudge there, and they will blossom beautifully.
All life yoga applies here for the elderly now.
Huh?
All life is yoga applies for all the elderly now, wherein you have to be very even more.
Yes, I mean, children are beautiful beings, and this generation is wonderful. Whatever people may say that they have got rid of much baggage of the past. There is something very nice. They can tell you what they truly feel. They don't try to put covers, which is very nice. And they need direction. There is no doubt. And they hate hypocrisy, and they outrightly reject trying to, make them over as, because uncle has come, you must come and touch their feet. No. Which is a good thing, isn't it? Yeah.
But there is also a conflict that because everybody around them are talking about all those old habits, or even we say it's a tradition or whatever. So this generation also is going through a conflict. So how do they deal with that?
So,
the younger one.
first of all, we must understand these children are less conflicted, frankly. But as far as we are concerned, tradition has these two elements. There is the form and the spirit. Form is bound to be broken. Take it in writing. but the spirit will take new forms. So you have to understand the spirit, and that's where it will evolve in new ways. So it's perfectly fine. So they are not, we put them in unnecessary conflict by trying to tell them, do this, don't do this. Minimum of rules and maximum of freedom. This the mother's writing for family life. And she says minimum of rules, a maximum of freedom, a great vastness and plasticity. And then she says freedom even to make mistakes so that your possibilities can emerge to the fullest. So that's what we see. It's all going in the light of Mother and Sri Aurobindo very beautifully.
Beautiful.
Not in our the way we want what we want. We just want children to just say, "Good morning, Mama. Good morning, Papa. What do you want me to do?" This is all play of ego. Authority of ego is gone.
There is a question I'm just trying to read. It's a big one. How many yogas took place on earth? Yugas, sorry.
Yogas.
Yugas. No, I was trying to understand the thing. Sorry. I'm so sorry. How many yugas took place on earth? How many times earth has re-manifested? Whether that time, what was the human being's progress? And what is the difference in present human beings' progress and perfection stage? Please correct me if I'm reading it right.
I've got the gist of the question. So, well, I can only say what is there in tradition and combine it with little bit of what science tells us, and then the logic, spiritual logic of things. So, just as we human beings progress up to a point, so the inner progress is always a little ahead of the physical progress because the body doesn't allow, mind also gets into rigid grooves. So, beyond a point, because we are not able to progress, we die. Death is nothing but the spur towards a new life. That's it. So what happens at individual level happens in the life of the collective life of humanity. So yugas are basically, of course, there are 4 yugas, but each 4 yuga is one cycle. And the time frame, I've given a talk on this also. There is an astronomical figure, 4,32,000 of Kali. No, I mean that's almost saying God, you are very cruel. And it's illogical. I'll tell you why it is illogical, because at least we have 2 avatars who are regarded as avatar, who are coming at the end of yoga. It's confirmed. Like everybody says Rama came at the, toward the Treta, and Shri Krishna came in Dwapar. This I agree. We all agree. And we have fortunately the time, by and large, because, the Adams Bridge or the, Rama Setu, actually, it was called as Nala Setu, original name. So Nala Setu age more or less is determined. And similarly, if we go to Mahabharata War, more or less determined. So 17,500 plus minus Lord Rama and 4,500 plus minus Sri Krishna. So if you see the gap, roughly comes to about 12,000. Now each avatar is, as you go from Satyug to Kalyug, the time span becomes less between 2 avatars. So if we see logically, we are coming to the close. Some would say Kali Yuga is already closed purely by logic. Now, if we go back to scientific understanding, now how many such cycles have been there? There have been 6 cycles. That's how the occult tradition go, but it's there. Even, that each cycle will have one Manu. Manu will have his own name. This is the Shraddha, one Manu, which is the new cycle. The Chakshusha Manu is the previous one. So which see in Matsya Avatar. So all this is there, and not going into all those details. But scientifically, there is evidence that this is the 6th time. It doesn't talk about 6 destructions, but speaks about five times. Now, this destruction doesn't mean complete destruction. Even the story of King Satyavrat is not complete destruction, obviously. That's how, he goes on from Saraswati to civilization to the Ganga civilization. So there is enough evidence that at least there has been 5-6 destructions. And there comes, the mother says that this is the 7th one, and this is not going to be collapsed into destruction. So what happens in the yuga is you progress, go to a point. Then because the physical thing is not able to embody that truth, so it breaks. But when the cycle comes down, it doesn't come back to the same level. So it's a spiral. So each Satyug is higher than the previous Satyug. Otherwise, it's like a senseless wheel which is moving on the same spot. But a wheel is in motion but moving ahead. So it looks like, and I give this example of a man who does the discus throw. So what he's doing, if you see him for some time, he's at the same spot. Now, if you zoom in and take the photograph, you'll say, oh, that stone is about to be thrown, but again it comes back. What is happening? It is gaining momentum. So each such cycle of ascent, spiral ascent and fall is to gain momentum at one point to enter into what some physics people will say escape velocity. It escapes the grip of death. So that's where we are at this point of time. And if you go back into the story of yugas, it's so evident that how it takes place. So in Satyug, there is a kind of divine anarchy. In the sense you don't have any rule, regulation, code. The truth is felt within. So Lord descends as Yagya Purusha. So he is in the heart of every creature and we act according to the inner truth which is aligned to the larger truth. So life is beautiful. Then in Treta he comes as a king. So it's the king, Rama. So he is the one who is going to be the. So if Rama upholds truth, all others will be fine. So in Rama's time, he is he starts seeing that what has gone wrong within me, that why there is old age, why somebody is suffering. Then in Dwapar, it comes as the codifying. So Vyasa comes. So in the Dwapar, because now it's not the king anymore. So there has to be rules and regulations. In Kali Yuga, even that breaks down. And when everything breaks down, then you start once again a kind of anarchy comes, which is beginning. It will come. And then there will be, when there is anarchy, that's when you begin to once again discover your own truth. Children speak about it. So this is the process of the yugas. And now we are entering into the closing of the previous cycle. All this, even there's a whole talk on this where I've described in a little more detail. So this is the process.
So every cycle. So every cycle has just 6 cycles, right? So every cycle will have the avatars, like we know the Krishna Avatara, Rama Avatara, Krishna Avatara. So every cycle will have.
Yes, this avatar series is only for this cycle. So there is a very interesting Ramayana. There are many versions of the Ramayana. One of them is Kaka Bhushundi Ramayana. Has anybody heard about it? Of course. Very few people are aware of that. So Kaka Bhushundi Ramayana is very interesting. So he has been a witness to various Ramayans which have taken place over a period of time. Hundreds of Ramayana. Same drama enacted but with different results. There is a Ramayana where Raman is victorious. But see, finally Rama does the final shot. So, because Kak Bhushundi is literally a time traveler. If you read his story, it's very fascinating story. He chooses to remain like a car. Anyway, I am resisting the temptation to go into the story of Kak Bhushundi. But basically, yes, so what we call today as the avatar is this Chatur Yuga. What was earlier, we don't know. There is no document. Nobody has told us that.
Okay. How do you define God realization? Please go through this analysis and share.
Okay, so we spoke about self-realization. Let me put it like that. So self-realization or God realization? Let's put it like that. So if you see what is self-realization, I discovered that Sa Purusha Evascha, that and this is one. Soham Asmi. Myself is one with that self. So that means you have arrived at identity. The same truth, when I am still seeing standing here, then I use the word that. So that is God. So God, when I say I am seeing the same truth, it's not like God is different, self is different. But I am seeing the truth through this side of the still in ignorance, so I am using the word God. But again, as I said, people put different meanings to God. So that's a different thing altogether. So I am not going into it because we have talked about it in self-realization. So God may mean different things to different people, partly based on what they experience. Most of them experience one side of the story. For example, if you take Kabir, so he will speak about Nirgun. So if Nirguno Bhakti, he says. Now, people explain it in most strange ways, but I'm not going into how people explain. But then another way you go, you'll see Sagun. Then Sri Ramakrishna said is Sagun and Nirgun both. Shobhita says is Sagun and Nirgun and even beyond. Is Ishwara and Shakti. So it depends on what we mean. But if we see from this side, we use the word Ishwara, the Lord. But when I become one with the Lord, then what do I say? This is Sohamasmi. It's using the same truth in two ways. That is Dvaita and Advaita comes in. Advaita will say Sohamasmi.
If somebody is not following his requirement, mother leaves them for their destiny.
Yes. No compulsion on anybody. Everybody is not meant to follow. That will make a very boring world. And besides, you see, integral yoga is anyways, it comes at a stage of development when it's a great adventure, Mother has spoken about it. And she has used the word, let me put that, but don't take it in a pejorative sense. She says there are two kinds of souls. So she has used the word weak souls. So they don't want to participate in the ultimate divine consummation. So they want moksha, or there are still others who are still, no, I'm struggling with my life, I don't, moksha and all is big thing, I want my life to be good. So there is place for everybody if you arrange hierarchically. First thing is that. But this hierarchy will ultimately go to a point where you have a choice between individual moksha. Even if you have heard about integral yoga, you may not want it. Perfectly fine. Then there are heroic souls, and Sri Ramakrishna also spoke about it, who can go into moksha but who turn back. And they want to participate in the divine consummation of humanity. That's why in Savitri you have book 11, the soul's choice. So this choice comes ultimately at some point. Now I'm not talking of the many choices which comes, But there is a point when you have a choice to go out of the manifestation. And it's perfectly allowed freedom. The game is becoming too much. So, you can't stand all the, violence or all this in Durandar movie. So you want to come out, interval is enough, to be a movie. Fine, your choice.
You saw the movie, Alok.
No, I want to see, but it's not there in Hyderabad, I believe. If I had a choice, I would have gone for that movie. Anyways, it has to come. Point is that this is, you can go quit halfway through. But then there are souls which are not satisfied with only their own. It's the last illusion, as Mother says. Because am I separate from others? Still it's the ego, no? My moksha, that means I still separated myself from others. But in the ultimate realization, we are part, one reality, different aspect. So, and in any case, majority of mankind is for transformation. People seek moksha because world is dukkham or exaggerated sense. It's not all dukkham. A lot of joy in it. But dukkham strikes as something very anomalous. There is dukkham. There is sufficient dukkham at different levels. But that apart, if world was beautiful place, divine place, you tell them, you know what, take vairagya and sannyas and go into king, say, it's divine. Ask the gopis to do pranayam and have self-realization. So it's like that. And each one has his own journey, his own path. Even there, moksha also, through bhakti, through jnana, through karma, and as you said, integral yoga, heart yoga. Now again, there it comes because, as you may have missed that, but there was a truth in it. How many yogas are there? So you have if you have deha chinmay, conscious mainly in the body, Hatha yoga is the first yoga that was ever used. Now we don't have Hatha yoga. We have exercises, asanas. Let's not call it Hatha Yoga. But still, okay, because of derivative. Hatha Yoga is because you're conscious only of your body, and tremendous ego develops when you do Hatha Yoga. But there are special powers and all these develops. Physical is the basis, hardcore basis of the ego. Last thing of separativeness. So Hatha Yoga is if somebody is very dehi chin, Hatha Yoga is fine. I'm talking of Hatha Yoga in the real sense, not asanas. Yeah. Then for those who are more conscious in their subjective being, you have the or in the mind, they know themselves as mental being. There is Raja Yoga, which is primarily to do with the mind. And then there are those who are conscious in their inner subjective being of their thought, feeling, will, impulses. For them, there is Trimarga of the Gita. And then there are those who have somewhere begun to become conscious in their spiritual being, the psychic touch. For them, there is the Adhyatma Marg, which is integral yoga. So each one is, you can arrange this on a hierarchy level. Again, not hierarchy in the sense of superior and inferior, because that doesn't exist in spiritual terminology, but different people, for whatever reason, have different dealings with creation or at different stages. Who knows, somebody who is today practicing Raj Yoga may tomorrow, in this life or another, enter into Trimarga, or somebody will start towards Krishna. Tomorrow may come to Mother. But that is a decision which is taken between the soul and the Divine Mother. What is valid at this point of time is not necessarily fixed for all lives. He is Purushottama. But what it means is, it's like saying that, well, I may have done PhD from, space sciences. I want to take an Indian university's name. Okay, I want to say NASA and all that. But I may have done that. But if I am going to teach standard 10 or 11 student, so what will I do? I'll put it in that level. Okay, now the same student, when he goes to PhD level, then I'll manifest myself very differently. So it is the same truth. Now, humanity at a point of evolution in its life, that's why Shri Krishna in the Gita takes, I'll come to the descent of overmind a little later, but first we should be clear about it. He almost knocks at the gates of supermind, but doesn't open it. Humanity is not ready. So he is stationed himself at overmind. He says, don't worry, I'll come back. I'll change my dress and come back. Assure you. So Sri Aurobindo is Sri Krishna keeping his promise and fulfilling himself. But before he can do that, he had embodied the overmind, shown the way, and I could go on, how he showed the way and how humanity lives, but not going into all those details. So what is the descent of the overmind? Now Sri Aurobindo comes to that final stage. Final stage, if we can speak of in terms of the crucial crossing over from ignorance to evolutionary knowledge, ultimate knowledge. So now, if Shri Krishna also at the end, what does he say? He says, Anityam asukham lokam vajasva. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vrata aham sarva papibhyo mokshishami masujami. It ends ultimately. He is there. He says, I'll take you right up to there. And then the gates will open and I'll ensure that you are released, but as a Jivan Mukta in the path of works. You don't have to leave anything. You will be free inside while you are still acting under the three gunas. There is no transformation, nothing, because Shri Krishna didn't attempt that. To attempt transformation, he will need to, because he says that I have my own prakriti. Para prakriti jiva bhuta. He says mayeva prakriti, which is different. He says you have one prakriti, which is the Trigunatma prakriti. But I am my prakriti, and then he speaks about the manifestation to the vibhuti and all that. Okay, but what is that prakriti and this prakriti relation? Only thing is swadharma and swabhava. That's the only touch he gives. He says rest he doesn't say. Now, if he has to make sure that we assume his portion, because we are his ansha, embody Shri Krishna's prakriti, then what is required? Human consciousness has to be transformed. In which case, the overmind which he embodied has to descend into physical consciousness. Then only the rest can come. But Shri Krishna didn't attempt it because the time was not there. Then he goes back into the green room, changes, comes back, yeah, Cambridge educated, English. He promised, no, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata. He said, I will come. He keeps his promise, he comes. But now, what is that part which is left? If you have to go to the supramental transformation which takes up the transformation nature, first the overnight, that's it, work which is left. Because Mahabharata intervenes. Even Shurvindu's work was delayed because of the World War intervening. That's why he had to drown Dwarka, that's why he had to destroy his own Vansha. How painful it must have been. So there is an unfinished agenda of Shri Krishna. That must first be finished. Because if Dwarka has been submerged, no, in Arabian Sea, it will come out subsequently in Bay of Bengal. Understood? Bay of Bengal, Dwarka will come. So it is drowning there because it must be very painful. Why would he do it? Because mankind is not ready. It doesn't deserve. So first that consciousness which Shri Krishna embodied, it must come into the physical, prepare it fully. Then the supermind can descend. So Sri Aurobindo had to take up that work. That's why he says we are continuing the work that Krishna was doing. In one of his letters he says that. He will not say, oh, you know what, Shri Krishna left some work. I have to do it. Like us. So he quietly says our mind descend. He was pretty indifferent to it. So Shri Krishna came to him in Alipur jail, and then that work continues till the Siddhi, and then it descends. So Shri Krishna says, now I am handing over the charge to you. It's like saying my work is now complete. Now you go further. So that became the sign that the supermind can descend. So you can take it that this was a work which was sort of important. You can't go to that next level. So in a way, Shri Aurobindo did completed that work of Shri Krishna. And it is there in the Bhagavad. I could go on quoting that why it is that Shri Krishna left something undone. The whole Mahabharata war and the Yadukul, because he was so busy, he carried an anguish of the world which didn't want that freedom and delight. Even Sri Aurobindo, you look at it, he had to leave. What did he say? That this time, divine strategy. So mother is there. He says, you will have to fulfill. It's not easy. So even after the overmind descent, he opened further, but he said, you know what? I will have to withdraw and work from behind. You have to fulfill our yoga transformation. So that's how it has to be seen in that country. It's not that Krishna is greater or Sri Aurobindo is greater. They are one and the same. But Shri Krishna is Sri Aurobindo coming early in time. And Sri Aurobindo is Shri Krishna fulfilling his promise. So no parallel.
So on this point, we can also say Sri Aurobindo as Kalki avatar.
Yes, of course, without a doubt, it's Kalki avatar. Only thing is, people, there are so many Kalki avatars today. Somebody, I have given a talk on this incidentally on Kalki avatar, very logically, with evidence and all that, very logically. So somebody says, my Guruji says that he is Kalki avatar. I said, if you really read through, there are at this point of time, there are at least 6 claimants to Kalki avatar and one that he is still to come. And it's okay. What can you do? But logically means there is a criteria for avatar. So what is the criteria of avatar? Four criteria which Shri Krishna himself gives. First is yada yada hi dharmasya glani. What is dharmasya glani? Dharmasya glani is simply that the same truth which had truth at one point of time becomes subject to falsehood. Like the Chaturvanya, many others. So people are lost in externality and they forget the spirit. That is dharmasya glani. So, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhakti bharata, that moment of coming, that darkest moment if you see is 100 years back when there is imperialism, Marxism and positivism, materialism, asura, Freudianism, or whatever you want to call it, psychoanalysis. So all things are in that. So that's one criteria. Sri Aurobindo and the mother have come to it. And abhyudhana dharmasya tadatman shajamya. And then he says, Paritranaya sadhuna. Who are the sadhuna? Honestly, we fellows, who was Patarit Karwas? Sorry for my English. The British, you people, dogs and Indian not allowed. That is called Paritranaya Sadhunam. Suddenly India was who did that? After 1857. The actually the Alak started again in 1905. So Paritranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaya cha Duskritam. What did the Britishers do? They tied the rope which Duryodhana had tried around Sharvindor. What happened? Today they are singing. Vinashaya cha Duskritam. Dharma Sansthanaya, fourth criteria, the new way, complete way. Who was given? So claiming is a different thing, miracle, this, that is a different story. But logically, the criteria only place where criteria of avatar is mentioned is the Gita. And Shurvindra fulfills all of that.
Traditionally, it's supposed to be a lame person being our.
So that is very clear. The traditional image of Kalki avatar is a lame person on a white horse with a sword. Now you see, it's very evident. You don't expect somebody coming with even the time of coming when everything abnormal is going on. Now this breakdown is important before the new manifestation. But you don't expect today, like there are mullahs who believe that, he will come and with a stone, he will. No, this is archaic thinking. It's simple. So sword is evidently the sword of knowledge, and those who receive the sword is the inner vision. It always means the discerning knowledge, which can at one glance distinguish truth and falsehood. Who is armed with the sword of knowledge? White horse, Ashtrapati, always force. White horse, the mother's force. Lame. Lame is very interesting. Of course, mother described it in a very interesting way. She attributed Shrivindra's fault to that because collective formation. But if you see lame, basically lame means what? There is a strong resistance trying to hold. What does the layman do? He struggles to move forward because there are things which are holding him and trying to pull back. That's what lame is. We don't expect that, Kalki will come literally in that. So he fits literally in the image of Kalki avatar.
The accident also.
Accident, yes, that was the suggestion, collective suggestion, what was spoken of. So everything fits into that. But Shrivindu is so lovely, it doesn't matter. Yes. Yes, all avatars are permanent. She spoke of Shrivindu also as a permanent avatar. Meaning thereby avatars don't leave and go. They come for the earth, they stay on. They hang on, they're around the corner. All of them. Even till people can contact Rama, they can contact Krishna. Even nursing of avatar, they can contact. Yes, it's fine. I don't know.
Sanatana is Sanatana is eternal and we are in the also all nothing is there. Then why people are saying difference between Sanatana and
That's the problem because people don't understand Sanatan. They understand Sanatan as the set of rituals outer. They don't understand that Sanatan is that which is universal and eternal. And it expresses in each one in its own way. It's an all-inclusive thing. But people can't understand that vastness because we are very small. So we understand Sanatan means every morning we go and do rituals. If you have periods, you're not going to temple, you're not taking a bath. So people have this, and people bring into this world what they carry within. But Sanatan is, yes.
there are actually few more questions given by institute, but multiple questions by individuals also. Considering the time constraint, we have tried to cover almost all the questions that have been given to us. If anybody want to actually ask more, Alokda is so beautifully answers every question
every time you send to ask@alokda@gmail.
Yeah,
I
you
really
can
appreciate that.
directly post at the website, Ask Alokda website, or you can send a Gmail, askalokda@gmail.com. Com or all or some, only com. Yeah, I don't send questions.
That's an answer box.
So that is the
Sending
fastest way
questions.
because within 24 hours you get.
That's true. Promptly. So that's an answer box for all of us. So whatever questions you have, please post it on that mail ID that we mentioned. As I mentioned, we tried to cover all the questions. I might have missed a few. I'm so sorry. We still have so many papers and questions in the hand, but we can't. One last question.
Yes.
As a takeaway, we want to know, as a Dixon theoretical parts, from your own life experiences, the way to handle different transitions that happen in our life. Maybe a takeaway after these 2 days of the conference that we can hold on to and then go.
Different transitions. So I can give you from since you mentioned my own life. So I believe always look toward the future with hope and faith. And what I mean by looking toward the future means that don't keep the eye backward and look at, that's the sign of old age. In my times there was life was wonderful, always and wonderful. Should be full of that what is going to come will always be better. So to look toward the future to me means that the divine work will be fulfilled. Its faith should be always there. And always to understand that we may be however small in our understanding, in our lifespan, but the divine is infinite and it's His plan above all and it will be fulfilled. So life should be full of faith and aspiration and most importantly to be open to grace. Because if you ask me, like everyone else, so many beautiful things have happened, so many difficult challenges have happened. In like every life, nothing exceptional about it. So many wonderful experiences have taken place, very profound inner experiences. But all of them, if you ask me what is the reason, I have ultimately only one reason, it is grace. Because there is nothing I can find within me which can qualify for what help will give. So if you ask me, rely on grace, lean on grace, look forward always toward the future. Whatever may be the past, the future will invariably be more beautiful, though sometimes it will go through a tough patch. That's okay. The journey is forward. It's a one-way ticket. We don't go back, however beautiful it is. And life shows that, so I see it like the change of seasons. So you begin with spring, the child and the youthfulness. Then there is the summer. So what is summer? Toil. You can't go back and say, oh, bachpan ke din, bulana dena. Are, now the joy of the battle and the struggle. So you are looking forward to that. Then after you have toiled, now I am putting it in human language. Then there is rain. What is rain? Purification. Because you have gone through that, so you gather a lot of dust. Many things come very naturally to everyone. So rains. So pray for the grace, you will purify. Then comes winter. What is winter? The leaves are shed and the tree brings its own sap and all energy with it. So what is winter about? Sorry, I don't believe in this word. Old age about? Looking toward the spring that is nearby. But you should absorb, interiorize, like eagle's second line. So all the time one should look forward to when there is a time when physically you cannot do much because of various reasons. Interiorize yourself, gather that all that thing in life and put like a Yagyavedi homework to the Divine Mother. And then look forward to what is going to come in time to come. There should be nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be depressed about. If things have been lost in life which was apparently meaningful and beautiful, what is going to come will be even more meaningful and beautiful. As I said, whatever our efforts, even if they didn't bear fruition, They've been documented in the good book of God. So all the things that we tried but could not go beyond a point, there yet he writes thy refusal in thy credit page. So it's written in the credit page and they will bear fruits. If I mean, not that one should do it for fruit, but inevitably, I do believe that everything that comes ahead is going to be more beautiful than what is. But the journey will be through. If you have to go to Mount Everest, you have to go through a little bit of asphyxia moments. Okay. Be full of faith, full of hope, full of aspiration, full of surrender, and for everything depend only on the Divine Mother. No other human support. If one depends on a human support, you will get crashed. So for everything, give freely to this world because nothing belongs to you. Now I'm sorry, I'm talking like an old man giving a life lesson, but since you have given me that space, give freely because there is nothing which is yours. She has given, and so share it freely. And when you share it freely, it is again to her. You are putting at her service what she has provided us abundantly. So that's my life lesson. Mother is everything. Mother is the beginning. Mother is the path. Mother is the goal. And to keep turning towards her more and more, give herself more and more is the last, and in fact, the only secret that I know of. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Can we all just do 1 second of the silence and then disperse just so one more whatever we have absorbed the past 2 days and especially this conversation.
Okay. Jai Ma. Do we have all these questions written on the mobile or they are?